Waterfront homes for the price of a used car. Empty docks on lakes that look like postcards. Whole towns sitting right on the water where almost nobody is buying, and the folks who already left are practically handing their houses to anyone who wants them. That is not a typo, and it is not a scam. It is real, it is happening right now, and it is happening in more places than you would ever guess. But here is what got under my skin, and it is the reason I made this whole video. Waterfront is supposed to be the expensive stuff, the premium, the dream you save your entire life for and still might not reach. So why are these docks empty? Why is the boat slip rotting? Why did everybody leave the one thing the rich spend fortunes chasing? That question has an answer at every single stop on this list. And I am telling you right now, the answers are the best part of the story. Some of them will break your heart a little. Some of them will make you want to pack a bag tonight. All of them are true. So, before we start, 3 rules. Every place I show you had to pass all 3, or it did not make the cut. Rule 1. It has to be a real livable home. Not raw land, not a pile of studs and a promise. Not a mobile home with no floor, a place you could actually put a key in the door and move into. Rule 2. Real water access. A lake, a river, a bay, or the open coast. You can see it from the property or walk to it in a minute. You can touch it, you can drop a boat in it. Rule 3. The price has to be genuinely low for waterfront. Not low for a mansion. Low period. Low enough that the number makes you sit up. And every one of them comes with exactly one honest catch. I am going to say that catch out loud every single time because the whole point of this is that you can trust what I am telling you. There are 100 channels out there flashing fake prices at you. I would rather show you the truth and let you decide. Prices and insurance move fast, so treat these as a starting map, not a shopping receipt, and check the live listings yourself before you fall in love. None of this is financial or real estate advice. It is a scouting report from somebody who went and looked. All right, let's go find some water. Number 15. Toledo, Ohio. Toledo sits right where the Maumee River spills out into the western tip of Lake Erie. And this is exactly where the almost nothing part of the story begins. In a good number of Toledo neighborhoods, you can find a solid little house within walking distance of the water in the low hundreds of thousands. The fixers, the ones that need a weekend and a toolbox, dip well under 100,000. Picture your morning. Coffee in hand, the river sliding past your window, freighters the length of a football field easing out toward the open lake. Toledo was built on that water. Glass, shipping, heavy industry, all of it moved through this town for 100 years. The bones of a real city are still here. The parks along the river are here. The prices, somehow, are not. So why is it this cheap? Here is your first honest catch, and I am not going to soften it. The western basin of Lake Erie is the part of the Great Lakes that turns pea green in late summer. Toxic algae blooms, bad enough that back in 2014 the entire city lost its drinking water for a weekend, and everybody was hauling bottled water home from the store. It comes and goes. Some years are fine. Some years are ugly. The water is real and beautiful. So is the algae. You buy here with your eyes wide open, and if you do, you get a Great Lake for the price of a starter home in almost any other state. And Toledo is just the warm-up, because the next town does not just have cheap water. It has houses so cheap, it sounds made up. Number 14. Detroit, Michigan. The Riverfront. You have heard the stories about Detroit homes selling for the price of a used pickup. Most of those stories are about the rough, interior neighborhoods, blocks that emptied out and never came back. But here is what those stories leave out. Detroit also has a real, wide, genuinely gorgeous river running along its edge, with the country of Canada sitting right there on the far bank. And this is the wild part. In some of these riverside pockets, the monthly cost of owning your place is lower than a lot of people's car payments. There are folks down here whose mortgage runs under $500 a month. On a river, you could paddle a kayak across into another nation. The water is the real deal. The Detroit River is enormous. It is blue, and the city has poured serious money into rebuilding the Riverwalk that runs alongside it, so it is nicer now than it has been in decades. Now your honest catch. Detroit is a patchwork, and I mean that block by block. One street can be a full comeback story, with new porches and young families, and the next street over can be empty for reasons you will figure out fast. Property taxes and home insurance inside the city run high compared to the little sticker price on the house, which is the part that surprises people. So you do your homework street by street, not city by city. Get it right, and you own a riverfront home for less than a one-bedroom apartment costs to rent in half the country. But if you think one river is a bargain, wait until you see what two rivers together will cost you. Number 13. Cairo, Illinois. Cairo, and yes, the locals say it like the syrup, not the city over in Egypt, sits at the exact razor's edge where the Ohio River meets the mighty Mississippi, two of the biggest rivers on the entire continent, folding into one right at the bottom tip of Illinois. The homes here are some of the cheapest livable houses in the whole country. You can find standing homes, roofs and walls and all, for less than a decent used car, sometimes a whole lot less. It genuinely does not compute the first time you see it, and the setting is stunning in a way photos barely capture. There is a spot in town where you can stand at the point and watch two great American rivers become a single one, brown and green, swirling together and heading south for the Gulf. Now the catch, and this one is heavy, so I will give it to you straight. Cairo has been emptying out for decades. The jobs left, then the people left, and today whole blocks are boarded up and quiet. Sitting at the meeting point of two enormous rivers also means flooding is a permanent fact of life here, and this town has been fighting the water back for generations. You are not just buying a house in Cairo, you are placing a bet on a place that is still fighting for its own future. Some people love a bet like that, the chance to be early somewhere. Just be honest with yourself that that is what it is. That was the Great River bargain. Now let's trade fresh water for salt. Number 12. Pascagoula, Mississippi, down on the Gulf Coast. Pascagoula hands you something none of the northern towns can. Warm water, palm trees leaning over the streets, and homes right on the bay for a number that would be a punchline almost anywhere else on the American coastline. Modest waterfront and near-water homes here run well below what you would pay for a plain inland house in any big city. Now imagine December, 50 degrees and sunny. Shrimp boats chugging back into the harbor with the day's catch. You, on your own porch, in a t-shirt and bare feet, while the rest of the country is out there scraping ice off a windshield with an old credit card. The honest catch here is one word, and you already know it. Hurricanes. This is the Gulf, and the Gulf takes direct hits. What that really means for your wallet is not the price of the house at all. It is the insurance. Windstorm and flood coverage down on the Mississippi coast can run several $1,000s a year, and it climbs after every bad season the region has. Some folks handle that by buying a little farther back from the open water, where the flood risk drops and the premium drops with it. So the cheap house is completely real. The cheap ownership is not automatic. The insurance bill is the exact reason that sticker price looks too good to be true. And if you can carry that bill, you get warm salt water most of the country would trade a kidney for. Now, let's swing back north to one of the prettiest lakefronts that almost nobody ever talks about. Number 11. Erie, Pennsylvania. Erie sits on its very own Great Lake, and curling right out from its shore is Presque Isle, a long sandy peninsula with beaches that I promise you look like they belong on an ocean somewhere expensive. The sunsets over this water stop people mid-sentence. And the housing situation? Erie is one of the most affordable mid-sized cities sitting on any Great Lake in the country. Solid homes near the water in the low hundreds, and plenty below that if you are willing to paint and patch. So what is the catch? Two things, and I will not bury them. First, Erie is in the snow belt, and I mean the serious industrial-grade snow belt. Lake effect storms can bury this town in feet, not inches, in one long stretch, and there are winters here people still talk about years later. Second, like a lot of these Great Lakes cities, the old factories closed, and the local economy has spent years grinding its way back. So you trade easy sunshine in a booming job market for beaches, sunsets, a great lake, and a price you can actually afford on a normal budget. Quick pause right here. If this is exactly the kind of thing you have been hunting for, do me one small favor and tap that like button. I know everybody asks, but it genuinely helps this video reach other people who are lying awake dreaming about the exact same thing you are. That is all. Thank you.
Before we continue, I want to show you something amazing. We put together a simple guide for the people who really care about these stories. Because whether we're talking about old school food, forgotten trade, one truth remains the same. History is disappearing. This is for anyone who believes these memories, these lessons, these ways of life are still worth keeping. You can find it in the link in the description below, or you can scan the QR code right here.
Now back to the water. Number 10. Lockport, Louisiana. Now we go deep into bayou country. Lockport sits right on the water in the Louisiana Delta, down where the line between land and water gets beautifully, hopelessly blurry. Median home prices here hover right around $145,000, and a real chunk of what you get for that money is either on the water or a few steps from it. This is a completely different flavor of waterfront. Slow, green, and alive with sound. Boats tied up in the backyard like other people park a second car. Fish and shrimp for dinner that were swimming an hour before they hit the pan. Spanish moss and warm evenings, and a way of life that has not changed all that much in a long time. Your catch is serious, and it comes in two parts. So stay with me. First, this whole region is quite literally sinking. Coastal Louisiana loses a measurable amount of land to the water every single year. And that is not internet rumor. It is something scientists track with instruments. Second, this is hurricane and flood country, which means you are looking at the same brutal insurance math as the rest of the Gulf, and sometimes worse. The bayou life is real, and it is genuinely gorgeous. It is also sitting on the front line of the water in the most literal sense there is. People here have made their peace with that, generation after generation. And if you buy in, you are joining a community that knows exactly what it signed up for. That honesty is part of the charm. Nobody down here is going to pretend the water is not right at the door. Now, the one a lot of you clicked this video hoping I would get to. The single most affordable lake town in America. Number 9. Rogers City, Michigan. Way up on the Lake Huron shore, near the top of Michigan's Mitt, Rogers City has quietly become the most affordable lake town in the entire country, with a median home price sitting right around $142,000. On a great lake. Just sit with that number for a second and let it do its work. And Lake Huron up here is flat out spectacular. Water so clear you can count the stones on the bottom, night skies packed so full of stars it almost feels fake, an old lighthouse standing watch, and a shoreline so quiet you can hear the waves rolling in from your porch in town. This is the postcard. This is the empty dock you have been picturing in your head this whole time. So why on earth is it this cheap? Here is your honest catch, and it is really just geography and weather. It is remote, and it is cold. The nearest real city is a long drive down the highway. The winters are long, gray, and genuinely hard, and the town lost its big industrial employer years ago, so steady jobs are thin on the ground. Now, if you work from home, or you are retired, or you are semi-retired and just want quiet, that emptiness is not a downside. It is the entire point. You get a whole Great Lake to yourself, a downtown you can walk end to end, neighbors who wave, and a cost of living that lets a fixed income actually stretch. If you need a career and a nightlife, this is not your town. And that is okay. The lake does not care what you decide. It is going to be beautiful either way, all year long, whether anybody is watching it or not. And speaking of beautiful, this next one looks like the set of a movie about small-town America. Number 8. Vermilion, Ohio. Back on Lake Erie, Vermilion is a genuine storybook town. A snug little harbor, a river winding right through the middle of it, grand old captain's houses left over from the days when shipping was king, and streets that feel less like real life and more like a film somebody made about how small towns are supposed to feel. And it is still honestly affordable waterfront by any fair measure, especially set against what the coasts want from you. You could wake up here to sailboats bobbing in the harbor and take a walk to a lighthouse before your coffee is even cold. The catch. Lake Erie is slowly eating its own shoreline. Erosion along these bluffs is real, and it is ongoing, and homes perched right on the edge can be looking at expensive shoreline protection work, plus flood insurance to go with it. The closer you get to the water, the more that catch matters to your bank account. Set yourself back a street or two from the bluff, and it eases up a lot. Buy the house hanging right over the lake, and you had better budget for the long, slow fight against the water. Now let's go as far east and as far off the beaten path as this country's coastline will physically take us. Number 7. Lubec in Eastport, Maine. This is the actual edge of the United States, the easternmost point in the whole country. Way down east, where the state of Maine simply runs out of land. And it is home to some of the cheapest saltwater property in all of New England. Real houses with real ocean views for prices that would be a rounding error down in the postcard famous parts of the Maine coast, where the celebrity summer, the scenery up here does not feel real. Fishing boats in the harbor, tides that swing dramatically up and down the rocks twice a day, whales spouting offshore in the summer, and thick fog that rolls in over cold blue water and swallows everything. It feels like the end of the world in the best possible way a place can feel. Your catch is honest and it is simple. It is remote, it is cold, and the economy is thin. The fishing and cannery industries that built these towns have shrunk hard over the years, steady jobs are scarce, and you are a long haul from any real city or hospital. That isolation is the exact reason the price is what it is. But for the right person, somebody who wants quiet and sea air and does not need a crowd, that trade is not a sacrifice. It is the whole entire dream. Number 6. Buffalo and Lackawanna, New York. Buffalo sits at the spot where Lake Erie funnels itself down into the Niagara River. And just to the south, Lackawanna gives you real homes near the water at prices that stay stubbornly reasonable for a city with this much water wrapped around it. You get a great lake, a world-famous river running off toward the falls, and a comeback city with genuine character, fierce loyalty, and some of the best food in the Northeast if you know where to look. The catch is the one thing Buffalo is most famous for: snow. This is one of the snowiest big cities in the entire country, and the storms here have made national news more than once. Add in the long Rust Belt recovery the whole region has been grinding through, and the deal is clear. You get water and affordability in exchange for winters that will test how badly you actually wanted it. Buy yourself a good snow shovel. Honestly, buy two, because the first one always breaks in February. Now, let's head back to warm water and one of the prettiest stretches of sand on the whole Gulf. Number 5. Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Bay St. Louis is a charming little Gulf town with soft white sand beach, a walkable downtown packed with art galleries and live music, and water that turns gold at sunset. And the prices for genuine beach town living stay surprisingly grounded compared to the famous Gulf destinations a few states over. You could trade the entire northern winter for slow morning walks on warm sand, with a cup of coffee and absolutely nowhere you need to be. The catch here carries a memory, and the whole town remembers it. This stretch of coast took the direct full-force hit from Hurricane Katrina, and nobody here has forgotten what that was. The town rebuilt itself beautifully, stronger and smarter, but the water proved exactly what it is capable of. So the insurance is the price of admission all over again. Wind and flood coverage on this coast is not cheap, and it is the honest reason a real beach house here can cost less than you would ever expect. Gorgeous town, warm people, just respect the Gulf because it has earned it. Now, let's climb straight up into the mountains for something completely different. Number 4. Saranac Lake, New York. Way up in the Adirondacks, Saranac Lake is a real mountain and water town, ringed by lakes and high peaks, with a median home price sitting around $223,000. That is a step up from our bargain basement stops, no question. But for authentic lakefront community living inside a protected 6 million acre wilderness, it is still a quiet steal. Loons calling to each other across glassy water at dawn, canoes gliding out into the mist, pine forest running right down to the shoreline. This is the water people put on calendars and paint on canvas. Your honest catch. It costs more than the others on this list. New York property taxes are no small thing, and the season is short. The winters up here are deep, long, and serious. And a whole lot of the lake life happens in a handful of glorious warm months before the cold clamps back down. So you are paying more, and you are paying it for one of the most protected and beautiful lake regions in the entire eastern half of the country. It just is not the almost free tier, and I would be lying if I told you it was. Now back down to the Gulf. For a town that quite literally runs on oysters, number 3, Apalachicola, Florida. Over on the Florida Panhandle, a world away from the theme parks and the spring break crowds, Apalachicola is an old oyster town sitting on a quiet protected bay. Tin-roofed cottages, working docks with real fishermen on them, and a pace of life that feels like Florida from 50 years ago, before the whole state got paved and priced out. And it stays genuinely affordable in a state where the coast almost never is. You could buy shrimp straight off the boat for dinner and watch the sun drop down over the bay from your own front porch and pay a fraction of what that view costs 3 hours south. The catch, and you can probably say it with me by now, this is low, flat, coastal Florida. A great deal of it sits squarely in a flood zone. Hurricanes are simply a fact of life here, and the insurance follows all of that right along. Florida coverage has been climbing hard and fast in recent years. So, the cottage itself is charming and cheap. The yearly cost of keeping it standing and insured is the part that quietly empties the docks. And now, the single most expensive stop on this entire list, which, out here, somehow still counts as a bargain. Number 2, the Finger Lakes, New York. The Finger Lakes are a set of long, deep, absolutely gorgeous lakes carved into upstate New York. Wine country, waterfalls, rolling green hills, and a median home price sitting around $252,000. That is the very top of our range today. And yet, compared to what actual lakefront costs almost anywhere that people are truly fighting to live, it is still just a fraction of the price. Deep blue water you can swim in all summer, vineyards climbing the hillsides, and cool mist hanging over the surface in the early mornings. It is, without exaggeration, one of the most beautiful lake regions anywhere in America. The catch is a gentle one. Compared to the Gulf and the Delta, And I want to be fair about that. It is the priciest place here. The good weather is seasonal, and the truly on-the-water homes get competitive fast when they come up. But there is no hurricane, no sinking coastline, no town fighting for its life. Just a shorter summer and a higher ticket to get in. For a whole lot of people watching this, that makes it the safest, steadiest water on the entire list. You are not gambling on a rebound or bracing for the next storm. You are just buying a beautiful lake in a stable town and settling in. Which brings us, finally, to the last one. And this one is not for sale at any price. Number 1. The water that stays priceless. Something kept happening to me, town after town, empty dock after empty dock, and I want to leave you with it. You can buy the house, you can buy the lot. You can, if you are patient and clear-eyed and honest with yourself about the catch, actually buy your way onto the water for less than almost anyone alive believes is possible anymore. But the water itself was never for sale. The way Lake Huron goes to hammered silver right at sunset, the sound of the Maumee moving past in the dark when the whole town is asleep, the tide swinging in over the cold rocks at the far edge of Maine. Two great rivers folding quietly into one at the bottom of Illinois. Nobody owns any of that. Nobody ever has. It was here long before the towns had names, and it will still be here long after the last listing expires and the last sign comes down. That is what the empty docks are really about, when you get down to it. These towns did not lose the water. They lost the jobs, or they got worn down by the storms, or the wider world simply picked up and moved somewhere else. But the water stayed. It always stays. And it is sitting out there right now, mostly empty, mostly quiet, waiting on whoever is brave enough and honest enough about the catch to come and sit down beside it. Waterfront living was never only for the rich. It never actually was. In a whole lot of forgotten American towns, it is real, it is gettable on a normal budget, and the dock is empty for the simple reason that nobody is looking. Well, now you are. So, if this handed you even one single town to go look up tonight after the video ends, do two quick things for me. Subscribe because I go out and find these places so that you do not have to. And send this to the one person in your life you already know would move to the water tomorrow if somebody just gave them permission. You know exactly who that is. You thought of their face already. Go find your water. It has been waiting a long time.